So I talked about the Pacers about 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to wait a little longer before talking about them again, but this Sabonis-Turner frontcourt is probably the most interesting thing in my life. So as a result, we're going to talk about this. Can these two work? I mean, they let Thad Young go. All the moves they made this offseason were for, like, TJ Warren and Brogdon. TJ, small forward, can play the power forward position, yeah. But I think they're going to put him at the 3. Brogdon, obviously, a guard. Oladipo coming back. Seems like they're freeing it up for these two dudes. It makes sense. I mean, they're about to pay Sabonis. Turner's going to make $18 million for the next, 5 years. It's a very good contract, if you ask me. And you can't have two of your most expensive dudes unable to play together. So basically, you find out if it can work. If it doesn't, to me, you trade Sabonis. But anyway, defensively, I think Turner might be good enough to make any lineup work. I mean, yeah, he didn't actually make an all-defense team, but if it wasn't for the way that those are stupidly set up, he would have. He was one of the, 5 best defensive players last year. So, assuming Sabonis is just not a disaster at defending power forwards, then I think they're going to be fine. And I think Sabonis projects to be just not bad at defending 4s. And when you have 2 defenders who are as good as Oladipo and Turner in your starting 5, I think that's good enough. And looking at the advanced stats for them last year, Turner and Sabonis in 430 minutes among 64 games, which is basically about 7 minutes a game, their defensive rating was 99.5. So while it's not the biggest sample size in the world, I think we already saw just how good those two defensively can be together. I mean, it's not only the fact that Turner's really good, but it's also the fact of, it's just 2 big dudes, And I think they could sometimes overwhelm teams. Also, Sabonis, really good rebounder, so that'll keep opposing teams off the offensive glass. So yeah, I think the defense, I think, is going to be good. But we move on to offense, where I think this conversation becomes a lot more interesting. And you could make a case that Sabonis is a better offensive player than Myles Turner. Because Turner, the shooting's there, but he doesn't totally know how to use that shooting as a real weapon. For one, he's just been really hesitant on shooting 3s, which I say this all the time when I talk about the guy. He was up to 2.5 attempts from 3. 39%'s good, but 2.5, not really enough to freak defenses out, right? But the other thing with Turner is he sometimes just stands in the wrong spot. Whether it's he's not comfortable enough standing out to 3, which doesn't create as much spacing, or he'll stand kind of around the free throw line rather than just backing up an extra step to really stretch out the defense. So that's just kind of weird. Now, Oladipo being back will be good because we could get some Oladipo, Turner pick and pops, as well as Brogdon and TJ, because both of those guys can operate a little bit off of a screen. But even so, Turner just has to be comfortable with taking long jump shots. That, or when he actually pops off of the screen, not taking a super deep 2-pointer, because that's another problem as well. It's sometimes he's standing too far in, but then when he finally pops, he goes far, but he doesn't go far enough out to the 3-point line. So it's just pop to 16 feet or all the way to 3. Don't do this 21-foot BS, but this is where Turner's at right now. So if you're thinking that the spacing is just going to be beautiful between them because Turner can shoot, I see the rationale, and you could be right, but I'm a little hesitant to say that right now. Now, if we look at Sabonis, his rookie season, while it was very weird and he was totally used incorrectly, he did show some life as a shooter. So is there a chance that he could make some jumpers and be the guy to initiate the spacing a little bit? Don't really know. He has not shot 3s regularly since he got to Indiana, so there's a chance he's just all the way out on that stuff. Also, you could argue that he just was hot from 3 to start with OKC, and then for the year he really wasn't that good. His mid-range numbers are pretty solid. He took about 12% of his shots from like 18 feet last year, and he actually shot about 41%. So that could be something, but I really think it comes back to Turner just really figuring out how to use his spacing correctly, because I think Sabonis is going to be around the basket pretty much all the time, which is where you want him for offensive rebounds and finishing and that type of thing. And all that stuff is going to be really valuable for Sabonis, or for the Pacers from Sabonis, because, you know, like the TJ, Brogdon, Oladipo thing, that's all really cool, but this is something I said before. I'm a little fearful that those guys aren't going to shoot like a crap ton of free throws, and I think there's a chance that Sabonis could actually shoot a lot. Now, he only took about 4 a game last year, which is a little surprising to me given how physical and how often he's around the rim, but I do think there's a chance he could take quite a few of those. Now, another thing with Sabonis is his playmaking. He got up to about 3 assists a game this previous year. That could be something to help this team out on offense. That could facilitate the high-low thing with Sabonis and Turner a little bit more. Perhaps we could even see some times of like Blake Griffin lobbing it up to DeAndre Jordan, or to go a little farther back, Pau Gasol and Andrew Bynum. I don't know. It's possible I'm going a little too far with that one, but I guess that's where I end up, is defensively I think they'll be fine. Offensively, it's going to be weird. I mean, if Myles Turner walks into the next season shooting like 6 threes a game, that's great. I've said that for 2 years now. I don't think it's going to happen. So I think they're just going to have to figure it out on offense. And I mean, it's possible that it can be ugly and still work, but I don't know. If you force me to make a pick about which one of these dudes will get traded, if it comes to that, I think it would be Sabonis. Now, if Turner actually ended up on the trade market, I would drive down to Danny Ainge's offices and demand that the Celtics make a move for him. But we don't know if it's going to come to that. Regardless of how it turns out, I think Indiana's going to be one of the best teams in the East. They'll probably be competing with, I guess, the Celtics for the 4th spot, or the 3rd spot, I should say. I don't know. I haven't thought too hard about the standings just yet. But, yeah, Turner Sabonis, it's going to be fun.